Ms. Miller says it's 5 o'clock meeting call. So I hereby call this Howard County School District Board of Trustees meeting to order. Mr. Leach, would you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. We approve the agenda as amended.
Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. There are no presentations, recognitions, or correspondence at this time. So go to the amendment portion here, item 5A. Jim.
We do have a resignation for the board to accept tonight from Anthony Hudson, who is the current Hannah Elementary School special education teacher.
Chairman, I move that we accept the resignation of Anthony Hudson, Hannah Elementary special education teacher.
Second. It's moved and seconded that we accept the resignation of Anthony Hudson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Item B is to approve the track coach. I get to the page. Yes, hiring the 2020-2021 track coaching activity activity contract listing, which is attached. So this is for your approval.
Chair, I move that we approve the 2021 track coaching activity contract as listed.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 track coaching activity contract as listed. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? C.
5C, this is just an additional name of a student that went to CBBE that needed Spanish. So this is just approving Eli Hobbs to add to that list of CBBE teachers.
Chairman, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we for the 2021 CPG extra duty contracts listed for Eli Hobbs.
Seconded to offer 2020-2021 CBBE accident contract by Hobbs. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 6A, superintendent reports, Dr. Copeland.
All right, well, you have a copy of my report. I'll just quickly go down these 8 items. Our enrollment figures are there. We're down a little bit from last month, up a little bit from a year ago. So you can see those there. We're up 8 over last year. We're down 12 from last month. And you can see all of those various campus enrollment figures and differences. Item 2, legislative update. I won't go into a lot of detail because I know we just went over that in the work session, but in your work session item, there are those bills that were there. The big ones being the recalibration bill for education, and then there are some others that have to do with schools and or funding of schools specifically. So I will let you read through there. I know we talked a little bit about those in the work session, and I'll be happy to answer questions if you have any that come up. These are the ones that we're keeping a pretty close eye on. There's still time, I think, to introduce bills. I don't think we've reached that deadline yet. So they're being assigned to committee. So we'll keep an eye out on anything that affects schooling or school procedures, processes, and or funding. So I will keep you updated there, but I won't go over all of those again. Item number 3, the WSBA Legislative Forum, it is still being planned for March the 14th. It is pending whatever the current COVID situation is at the time. They are moving forward as of this morning when Brian Farmer addressed the superintendents. They're hoping still to have that as an in-person thing. And so that is just what we're going on at this point. Some of this is pending the governor's orders between now and then. So their backup plans to do a virtual forum, but right now we're hoping to be able, some of us anyway, to go to that, and those that are able to go. So I'll keep you posted as soon as we know which direction that's going. COVID update, we just confirmed today, or Nikki Thorne, district nurse, confirmed today that the second vaccination clinic for staff will be held the morning of February 26th, which is a Friday, non-student school day from 9 to 11. So I think we're up to about 80 people that will be getting the second vaccination, if I'm remembering correctly. Generally, about half of our staff opted in. And as far as the current quarantines, they've really been going in a positive direction. We only have 4 people, 1 staff member and 3 students that happen to be on quarantine right now. One thing, so that's a very positive direction. We hope it stays there and goes down to 0 pretty quickly. One thing we got a notice from, and you may have seen this based on health department guidelines, but we got a notice from Carbon County Public Health that if staff have received their second vaccination and 2 weeks have passed since that second vaccination, if they have direct contact with somebody, they will not have to quarantine because they will be deemed to be protected. So staff members that have gotten the second, whenever they get their second vaccination, most of which will be on the 26th, then as soon as 2 weeks pass after that date, those staff members will be pretty much protected the rest of the school year without having to quarantine, unless they have symptoms. So that's pretty good news as far as hoping we're on the downhill of all of this business.
So the staff members that didn't get the shot want to opt in to get the shot later. Is there that possibility?
Yes.
Through Nikki?
They're contacting Nikki, and she's contacting either the Carbon County Health or giving them direct contact information. Carbon County Health has basically indicated that they will work those in anytime they're doing another clinic around the county. There's several scheduled. So they just need to coordinate dates of when they can maybe go to Medicine-Bow or wherever there's a clinic and get one to Rollins.
So can they get a first shot in this clinic if they didn't?
If, I think we have to notify, I think Nikki's having to make sure that she gives them numbers, and if there's adequate numbers of vaccinations available, they can. But talk to Nikki, or have anybody that asks that questions, talk to Nikki about that. She has that information. Basketball regionals, just wanted to go through a couple of things. I won't go through all the detailed information. You know, we have 2 teams in Cameron and Saratoga in 1A Southwest. AGM is in 1A Southeast. The Southeast Regional is in Torrington, I believe, and it's going to be on that Thursday, the 26th, and then back on Saturday to play the Northeast 2 winners. In the Southwest, the girls regional will be on Wednesday, the 25th at Farson. The boys regional will be at Saratoga on the 26th. Then they will play the Northwest 2 winners on that Saturday in Lander. We did get a variance for Saratoga. Each regional site could ask for variance, so they did grant us a variance so we can have up to 400. The plan is to just give each team 400 tickets, I think is the last I heard. And then if they send any back, which I kind of doubt they would, then we would have those to distribute somehow between the rest. But so that will take place on in Saratoga on the 26th. And
I'm sorry.
on Thursday, the 25th. I'm sorry, I'm getting the vaccination date mixed up. So Southwest, Saratoga to Cameron is on Thursday, and then Saturday in Lander, girls on Wednesday. And then AGM is on Thursday, Saturday. Okay, got it all. I think it's right here, but anyway. And we got some information that, and principals, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that admin for WASA passes at regional, they have allowed or planning to allow 2 per pass, not all families, but 2 per pass. And I think unless you're admin, it counts against the total numbers or not. Do we know?
Not sure.
We'll check for sure. But then at state, they're gonna allow WASA passes, those, and not to say that because I know a lot of you board members have one. At state, you can, there's not a limit of numbers, I'm sure, because the venue's bigger and there's more space. But they are asking that everybody limit their WASA passes to only 2 individuals for regional. And I'll find out for sure about whether it counts against numbers or whatever, and let everybody know. So we'll clarify that. Item 6, I've given this out to you in some board brief information. I just wanted to kind of get it in the official board record. It's a little more public. Our graduation rates overall were very, very good this last year, 2020. We ranked number 8 out of the 48 districts in the state with a 94.7% graduation rate over all of our 3 high schools. And Camden had 100%, HEM 92.3, Saratoga 94.7. So all of those were increases over the past years. We hope that trend keeps going. We know with small numbers, they can be skewed pretty easily, but that was great for last year. And then item number 7, I just wanted to mention, Darren Jennings has been nominated for Wyoming Principal of the Year. There are 5 nominees across the state. And so just wanted to put that in the record and congratulate Mr. Jennings for that and wish him luck. I really don't know how they decide that. Is there a committee or something? Do you know?
It's a coin toss.
Well, maybe you'll be lucky, dude. Do you feel lucky? So, and then I was nominated, felt very honored as one of the 4 representing the Southwest region for Wyoming Superintendent of the Year. So nice thoughts there. Appreciate that from my cohorts in the Southwest region. And that's my report, unless somebody has questions.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson.
We're away. So first, I just want to thank the opportunity. We
We did have to pull that. I'm sorry, I don't know a whole lot, but we might have to take it out and put it back in if that will make it pop like that. It's just.
Well, you guys all have it on your computer right now. So I thought it'd be good to talk to you a little bit more than just our, we always hear so much about our sports and our activities of how our kids are doing in sports, and sometimes we don't see all the other activities that we're doing within our building. And so on my first slide here, I have there it is. So the first slide there will show just at SMHS, we have 110 students right around, and how many of our students are involved in so many of our organizations outside of just athletics. So our FFA has 20, FCCLA 11, FBLA 6, yearbook 2, Stuco 12. Another one we have in there is Rodeo Club. They just kind of put that in this year. We have a good number of kids that do rodeo, and so it is not sanctioned through Wausau, but it is still a high school activity. So that's in there, and it just shows how many of our students are involved in more than just sports in our school. I think the slide I skipped and you probably saw was my numbers and activities and total numbers too. So it broke down into junior high sports, high school sports, and we did a report for Dr. Copeland, and I think in our building reports, I think SMHS has about 78% of our student body is involved in either a sport activity or one of our organization activities. So a few things that we do under each of our organizations, our FFA is very active. They have a greenhouse out there. As you can see, they're growing their own tomatoes out there. They just brought in pumpkins that they started earlier this year. So they were showing their Valentine pumpkins is what they were calling them. They started out with some hydro with, I got a bunch of fish, but when there was a sub, the heater got dropped into the tank and we had boiled fish. So they were trying to use and recycle the water through the fish into the plants and grow that way and use the water from there. So that's more of our ag science program that you see. And then the other part of our ag mechanics, from using the plies, cutting out signs out of metal and stuff, to kids are creating their own projects, headache racks, trailers, smokers, bumpers, all kinds of things within our ag mechanics. So Mr. Moreland's done a really good job of trying to bring and allow students to just create on their own. He actually has a student teacher with him this semester and is kind of incorporating some of his ideas into some of the classroom that he's doing as well. That's a smoker in the back of the truck. Our other big kind of CTE skills is our Skills USA Tech. I said most of the parents that have kids in our building, they see a lot of the products that these kids do throughout the year. And it was really interesting to me when all this came in because Mr. Volkman brings in just a big semi full of logs and they dump it, and that's all the wood they ever use. We never go and buy, you know, plywood, things like that. They just cut it from the saw that they use. They create the size they need, sand it all down, and they level it together so they can start making their own projects. The cost is so much cheaper for our kids. For a lot of our students, creating projects is pretty expensive. And so if we can find a way to get their materials much cheaper, and we have the resources right here, has allowed our students to create and build a lot of things. One of the big things they always do is during Christmas, the big bazaar thing, and unfortunately this year with the COVID stuff, they weren't able to set up and do as much, but you can see from tables to benches, signs. Mr. Volkman has making all kinds of stuff, and this stuff they're building is actually funding so much of the projects for the kids. So a lot of the stuff they build, many of them they sell it, and then that money goes back into the program. So if kids want to build a project, they don't have to come up with so much money on their own because they sold a lot of the products they've made. The other thing they do with our Skills USA, this is our engraver over here. A lot of the wood that you saw had something burned into it. So they do all that within the shop. We have a vinyl cut press. We also have a poster printer that we have in there as well. So like the big Wausau posters you can see when you walk into it, we get the little JPEG for it. We print off all of our own posters and that within that class. Mr. Volkman is real big on cancer awareness. through his tech class. They're a big donation. They donate a portion every year to the cancer walk, and they put on and help the skills class, helps with the big tournament, golf tournament they put out there at Old Baldy every year. So our kids do that. As you can see, some of the stuff they engrave, all the way to rolling pins to, they do one of those big sellers this year. We had a lot of mothers and grandmas that wanted like old time recipes, and they put them on the boards. And one of the grandmas that came in had a note card that was written by their grandma from clear back in early 1900s, written on something, and they could take that, scan it, and it was her handwriting on the size of a note card exactly onto this cutting board for them. So the things that they can create and do within that, the kids have a lot of fun with it. Made marble boards this year, made some coat racks, all kinds of stuff. So they get to be very creative in what they get to do with that class. FCCLA is another one. It's kind of like what we used to call facts and home ec, and it kind of all falls into that. It does more of like our Pro Start kids. Our kids in our Pro Start classes do a lot more with the FCCLA. They had their regional gathering convention earlier this year. Usually they go up to Casper and do all that, but we're still trying to make everything work. And that's the thing this year. You know, we want to be in classes, we want to try to make school as normal as possible for them. So all of our organizations are still doing the things we can. It just might look a little different, like so many other things we've had to do this year. But FCCLA, another organization, Stuco. Our Stuco puts on, we do hall games during homecoming. They do them for the grade school, we do them for the high school. They help organize our burning of the bee, the crowning of homecoming. They also do weekly fundraiser kind of for a organization. Last year they did it for the cancer walk. This year they're donating, they just donated part of it for the food bank, local food bank here. So that's one of their community service projects. With Stuco, you know, we try to do more stuff with the grade schools, but with COVID this year, so many of our organizations have kind of had their hands tied getting to be more involved with our grade school. But we're trying to do the best we can and accommodate this. Another organization or class we have now is Pro Start. Pro Start is more of our home ec, I guess you would call it, cooking. Mrs. Munson comes over from encampment, half a day. They're making all kinds of stuff from raviolis to cakes to pies to they did pork chops, and then they did lamb chops and things like that throughout the day. They're always making different things, and I think next month, I've talked to Ms. Munson, they're going to do your snacks and stuff next month, so we'll see what creations they bring for you. One of the things we have at the end of the day is our ACT prep, our AO period. We also have, we've started incorporating some SEL, which is our social emotional learning time that Mrs. Johnson's trying to incorporate in there. Some of the things we did during that, if we had kids that ZAP means zeros aren't permissible, so any kid that had a zero in a class or missing assignments, teachers could zap those kids during that period to get help from that teacher, make up that work, that type of stuff. The kids that were getting everything in, didn't have missing assignments, they were choosing activities to go do. It allowed some of our teachers to pick things that they normally don't get to teach or show. We had teachers, we did a section on archery. You can see here, we did a section on leather making. We had students that did a lot of leather stuff, so they brought their tools in and allowed other students to do bookmarks and bracelets and do leather craft. We did jewelry making during that. Had a couple of teachers teach kids how to play pinochle and pitch, checkers, and then what's the other one with the horse? Chess. We had chess tournament and stuff. So other, just different activities that, I don't think a lot of kids get to experience. And, so a lot of our teachers were presenting those for our kids during that time. And then on the other 2 days is our ACT prep for our juniors, seniors, and sophomores, juniors, seniors do ACT prep. We encourage our sophomores to take the ACT at the end of their sophomore year. So they've been involved in that. And then Ms. Johnston, like I said, has done some SEL stuff. So we're trying to bring that in during this time as well. And then there's a few days in there that is just homework. They can get to study hall, some time like that. Some things that are all student that we've done for all of our students. Earlier this year during homecoming, we did a pink out night and word got out, and I don't even know who the donor was, but they wanted to make sure every student in our junior high and high school had a pink shirt. And so they donated to get pink shirts for all of our students. So we're able to do a great all school pink out. I think it was the night of our volleyball game, and then followed it up that Friday with our football game. We do our spirit weeks. We've recognized our basketball teams from last year. They didn't get a whole lot of recognition last year because COVID hit pretty much right when we would have done that. So we had a nice thing at the beginning of the school year to recognize them, and they had another donor that helped and got them all state champion rings and things for a special. One afternoon we did a school cookout. I had Mac and Mr. Moreland, and then they helped volunteer. They did the grilling, and the kids really enjoyed that. We had real beef for lunch, and we were able to grill our burgers and had kind of our own cookout for the kids, and did that. We had a Halloween costume contest, Halloween day. Our parade, we had students leading with the flag. We even had some elementary students that rode their horses in the parade and participated. And as well, like I said, we tried to get as many activities with our elementary involved as we can. Over Christmas, we did a Christmas fun day. We had a gingerbread contest. We divided it in our AO groups. We divided everybody up. Had a gingerbread contest. We had a TikTok contest where they had to create a TikTok using a Christmas song. something I learned. I didn't even know what TikTok really was till then. Then we did some like mid-tournament games. And throughout the week, we had a visitor, an elf that hid throughout the school, and as kids found him, they could tell us where he was, and they got their names put in, and I had about 30 different donations from different community businesses and stuff. And so we drew out names for those kids and had a real nice fun afternoon for that Christmas fun day. We did a mousetrap. We called it a sleigh race, and they had to build a mousetrap car where the mousetrap springs the motion of the wheels, and they got judged on distance and creativity on that. So we tried to do some STEM project as well during that day. We had a district-wide door decorating contest. I think everybody kind of enjoyed getting into that. Laura did a great job getting it organized, but I think all of our teachers had fun getting into it, and staff doing the judging and different things. So here, as you can see within our classrooms, not just our CT, our art class. If you walk down my halls, you can see everything Ms. Shepherd's doing. They just got done doing a new project. I didn't get any pictures of it, but she took wood from Mr. Boltman and they're carving it out. They're doing oil or ink pressing with it, and they're making presses with the wood and creating their own images and then pressing it, and then they've done it with tiles as well. And they do a 3D set of tiles and different presses. And so it's not just drawing and painting in there. She's having them do a lot of different things. See here. In our social studies, Mr. Williams, he has our seniors do a We the People program, and then they do a competition earlier this year, and they were awarded merit outstanding for the We the People contest they did. We have a jazz band, we have a pep band. I think we're one school that probably has 1A that has a pep band for basketball games. So Mr. Paulson does a good job with them. We incorporate both junior high and high school in that so that they can be part of the band to help also get those junior high kids and keep them in the band program all through high school as well. And then one of the last things we do, every month we do a gauge award, which means great attitude and great effort. And I put that out there for our teachers to nominate students that have done a really good job in something, or they've seen them do things for other kids and they can nominate. And then I'll put that out there and allow the staff to vote on our student. Student that gets it this year, I had Sweet Marie. She donated gift certificates for the kids each month. And so the kids that earn this award will receive a gift certificate from Sweet Marie's. So I just want to share more than just our athletics that we're doing and trying to show, we're trying to keep school as normal as possible for them and keep as many activities and different things for our kids to be involved in. A lot of our kids, the only reason they want to be in school is for sports. Well, we got a lot of kids that, they're not sports, but art or music or FFA, and those things are what drive them to be in school. So I just want to share a lot of the other activities that we do within our school. And I know our other campuses have a lot of the same things, but I feel like, I'm going to be a little selfish. I think we have a lot more things that are being offered, and like I said, being selfish on that a little bit is the things our kids are putting out in our shops and stuff are really neat. So, any questions from the board on any of our activities or any others? Thank you.
Okay, item C, special ed report, Ms. Brown.
Okay, so right now, just our special ed enrollment active, we're at 108 kids. That's an increase of 5 from last month. And we are evaluating 6. One of those is just speech only. We're kind of getting ready to wrap up the year with our evaluations. I don't know if you know the process, but for each evaluation, we have 60 days to get it done from when we get parental consent until we have to have a meeting to determine if a kid is eligible for special ed. So just so that we have time to kind of get that meeting done and have parents in and make a plan for the student, we always have to have a cutoff so that we're not coming in July and trying to evaluate a kid. So that cutoff is going to be March 5th. So any kids that are in interventions right now and we're not seeing the progress that we expect, that's when we would kind of take it to that next step of special ed. Last for our PD day last week, or yeah, last week, 2 weeks ago, we did a meeting with the state special ed department. They came in and did a all-day training for us on how to write IEPs and just kind of brush up on how to make those, I guess, the most relevant. So it kind of starts with where the kids are, and that's how we build their goals and progress monitoring and just kind of making sure everything is wrapped together. It was a really good training. The special ed staff did stay quite a bit longer than the rest of the staff, just so they could get that full training. I think they felt it was relevant. I think they felt like they learned a lot from it. For me, it was kind of nice to see that how we're writing our IEPs is not far off from what the state is, like their pie in the sky kind of writing. So we're doing a really good job. There's a few little tweaks here and there that we can do to make it better, of course. You can always improve, but it was reassuring to see that we were doing things the right way. And then just with special ed, I'm working on a handbook. You know, even though it's a federal law, every district kind of interprets that just a little bit different. Not the law, but the way that it's done. So, you know, our procedures of who does the testing and who does the parent interview and who writes what part of the IEPs, every district is just a little bit different. So I'm working on kind of trying to get that streamlined in a document. So if we do have a new hire, I can give them the handbook and hopefully all the answers will be in that. I got it most of the way done just this morning. So I just need to go through and kind of tweak a few things. So hopefully next month I can let you guys see that and just kind of see how our district runs with the special ed department. So hopefully that will be helpful and will help our new teachers coming in and maybe even some of our older teachers just to kind of answer their questions. Just other kind of federal programs, the Title IX, you guys will be looking at the board policies a little bit later today. We went through and made sure those policies match the new regulations. And then there's just some information that needs to be put on the website. So if you ever get on there, you'll see that's added now. It's just kind of what the law is, who to contact, and then just a few different forms that we would follow for the Title IX. And then for the homeless liaison with McKinney-Vento, we have reached out to quite a few community organizations to kind of put out the word that we do have policies in place and some funding available if we have some students that are homeless. We don't get a lot of money from that through Title I. We do have a set aside that we can use for kids if they need, you know, supplies for school, or if they need something school related and they're homeless and don't have those funds. So we did reach out to different food pantries, the thrift store, the sheriff's office is helping us out with that, DFS, and they're just kind of putting information out in their buildings, and then if they have families come in and need help, they're going to help us and spread the word that we do have funds. So that's the end of my report. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay, curriculum report.
After the work session ended, Dana came over to me and apologized that the only available chair that was still left was occupied by Dr. Copeland's coat hat. So that's fine. And then needed some time over there. So that's why I'm kind of away from my group today. It's not like you're showing me. My report is attached as usual. I did have some updates for you in regards to curriculum this time. The last month, I've been working with the PE teachers, the music teachers, and fourth grade science teachers about getting some new materials in for them. And that's almost completed at this point, just working out a couple more details. But I'm especially excited about the science details just because in a little bit further in my report about the curriculum, I mentioned the social studies piece where I'm trying to put together a committee. Science and social studies in elementary are areas that honestly we just haven't put a lot of focus on because we're not tested really in those except for fourth grade science. Beyond that, it's just kind of a thing that hopefully exists out there. So I've been trying to occasionally push these topics with teachers, but for various reasons, mostly because of the massive amount of time we need to spend on language arts and math. It's not really a priority. So it was nice that the fourth grade teachers actually approached me about that and said, you know, we'd really like to try to enhance our science curriculum. So like I said, I'm really excited about where that's going, and I hope that's going to slowly kind of spread into some of the other elementary groups. And I am trying to put that committee together as well, as I've spent quite a lot of time trying to pull in various sources of data to do a good and proper math curriculum review, which we tried to do last year. COVID came and kind of threw that all out, but it's given me time to really change focus on what I want to achieve with that. So our A team had some preliminary review of some of that data today. We're going to talk about it more in March and just try to get into the heart of the effectiveness of our program, especially when we look at things like YTOP scores, and especially when we look at things like ACT scores for our upperclassmen in high school. So we'll see where that goes. With the district assessment system, I did finally have some workshops with our FACS teachers, our ProStart teachers, and our second grade teachers. They had requested to come in to do some work with me, so I was able to do that. Happy with the results we got. I've also got fourth grade that is interested in some work in the future, and PE teachers are also interested in doing that work. So I'm happy to bring them back into the district. You know, I mentioned before that some of the teachers have just been frustrated with how this year has been going in terms of trying to get together, meet face to face, and get some work done. So we've been able to slowly reopen that since Nikki feels a little bit more comfortable with the numbers and just in general how our state is kind of recovering from COVID. Assessments. So Karen, you'll like this, I know, because you really always like my CTE updates. So back in December, the WDE CTE team contacted me and said, hey, we want to have a meeting in February. We want to go over a bunch of data that you have to set in time for that meeting. I asked questions, I got on their nerves about some things, got all the data together, and then we met at the beginning of this month and talked about a whole bunch of things. And I brought up the data that they asked me to get. And they said, oh, you didn't have to do that because you're not Perkins. So as always, it's always fun to work with them, but they did give me some good information just about some of the things we have to do for testing and just how ESSA has kind of updated some of the requirements we need. We really talked about the requirement for every one of our high schools to be post-secondary ready, or our students that are graduating, need to be post-secondary ready. So they either need to have a high enough score in ACT, a high enough ASVAB score, which is our military readiness assessment, or a passing assessment score in one of our CTE programs. So that was actually incredibly useful because really I think we need to be doing a better job of tracking how students are performing with ACT and ASVAB so we can identify ahead of time if we have some seniors or some future seniors that did not do well at either of those two exams. We will be able to intervene as much as possible and try to get them through a CTE program so they have something to kind of help them after high school. So good steps, I think, forward to address that a little bit better.
from now on. And I also got some news that there are some individuals that can help us with the possibility of taking some of the load off my shoulders for applying for the Perkins grant, which will be eligible to apply for again at the end of next year for funds for the 22-23 school year. So I'm excited to talk to that person about it, just because I can't really, as we talked about before, spend a lot of time working on that, just with all my other duties. But if I can get some of that help, I think that'd be great, because we can pull some of those funds back in again. The other piece of information about assessments that I wanted to mention was just with the YTOP, the window closed on February 5th. We got almost all of our students tested. I think there were a couple here and there that we just couldn't because of makeup struggles. We have that data. I was able to provide a lot of that data for individual student performance to the teachers to start looking over on our in-service day on February 5th. The principals and I are trying to go over that information now, kind of see a bigger picture. And once we have a little bit better idea, I'd like to present some of that information to you again, just in a general form like I have the last couple of times when we get that YTOP data, so we can see how our students are progressing towards the summative testing at the end of the year. And then the other work with the February 5th in-service day, we get a lot of good feedback from teachers. A lot of that I think had to do not necessarily with what we planned, but the fact that we decided to give them half a day off. Everyone's always excited about that. So that was good, but we did spend some time working on PLC time, and then also starting to look at that YTOP data, which I think is going to be useful as we get towards the end of the year. We had some typical responses from teachers about what they'd like to see in the future for PD, again, that face-to-face time, which I'm really hoping if we don't get at the end of this year, obviously next year would be the goal to get people together again once people are safe. There was some talk about some interventions. There was some talk about some SEL, and the typical topics that they bring up that honestly we can't give a lot of time to, just because we're not experts in some of those fields. And a lot of the companies out there are either offering virtual only, but they're refusing to come out the district right now. So picking and choosing what we want to go forward with. The only other thing I think I mentioned here was just that the SCED coding update is done finally, and I'm meeting with individuals from the WDE tomorrow about the next steps for that. But we've recoded all of our courses to identify what they're actually teaching, and hopefully there won't be much more work beyond what the state expects us to do, other than actually updating our systems so that those codes are associated with the courses students are taking. And again, that's all for what happens after high school. And if the student ever transfers to another high school, the other schools know exactly what they took to help them just go through the rest of their high school career. Mr. Priest, Ms. Nicelender, and I, we are working with the state also on a school improvement process. They're piloting a new system. We got some information about that, just how that will proceed towards the end of this year and into next year. So just curious about what that's going to look like, since the state wants to eventually apply that to all districts. And last but not least, I've been able to, I took part in a Curriculum Director Association meeting and learned some information, nothing really relevant to bring up right now, but then also we've got some PD that we've been able to offer to our teachers through the state that's virtually held to give them a chance to get some PTSD credit, some professional development, but again, still stay away from traveling or getting together in large groups. So that is my report. Any questions?
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we don't have any audience here for comment. That's a big deal to me. Okay, no unfinished business at this time. We'll move on to item 9A, new business regarding the calendar.
This is an every other year process where we adopt a calendar for the next couple of years. We do an alternative calendar because we don't go a full 5-day school week. So it's an application process. So we normally have the board officially adopt a calendar at the February meeting, because then I'll need to go in and go through that, collect all of the requirements for that application that will be approved. I think the earliest is in May. I think we have to have it somewhere around the 1st of April. So I will be getting all that together. But that involves, first, starting with our adopted calendar, and then I collect the number of hours and daily schedules and a lot of data to send in as part of that process. So this year, or at least ever since I've been here, we've been kind of using the district accountability committee to kind of focus our thoughts on the calendar adoption process. That committee, as you know, is made up of teachers, admin, and parents from all of our various campuses and areas of the district. So this year we had some discussions and came down to kind of focus on 3 choices. You see there that the vote totals, I had everybody rank the 3 calendars with the number 1 choice getting 3 points, their number 2 choice getting 2 points, and the number 3 choice getting 1 point. They were to contact kind of the areas they represented. If they were a parent from up north, you know, we asked them to kind of reach out to some of the north, you know, parents up north, St. Saratoga, St. Camp. So that's kind of how the process works. Basically, we almost came up with a tie. You see there, it was between B and C, where one was 1 point above the other. C was 42 points, 43 points, and option B was 42 points. So option A was way down the point column. Option A was the one that started earlier in August that was not very popular with any of the groups. So it's pretty much most everybody's third choice. The differences between B and C, I would just point out that calendar B does not have a full 2 weeks of Christmas holidays. We go that Monday and Tuesday. I think it is on option B. And then everybody gets out the Friday before Memorial Day. Graduations are Memorial Day weekend, which is kind of traditionally how most of the time that can work out for us. Calendar C, the difference between B and C is that there is a full 2 week Christmas break, and then the seniors still graduate Memorial Day weekend. I checked with WDE, you can do that, you just have to mark them absent in the next 3.5 days. But grades K through 11 would come back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and get out early Friday after Memorial Day. So that's really the big difference. We get less Christmas holidays in calendar B, but then we all get out before Memorial Day. Actually takes place on the 30th of May. So those are the 2. I mean, I recommend C just because it got 1 more vote, but I mean, you can see it was virtually a tie. So I don't know what the pleasure of the board is. Either way, it's pretty close, you know, obviously about a tie. So, but we do need to adopt, or the board needs to adopt an official calendar so I can begin that whole application process. And principals are here if anybody has any questions from their perspective.
I have one question, one comment too. So both those you mentioned earlier, right after the Christmas holiday, all the staff really wanted that Monday off, and they're both reflected in both of these change. Or we had the Monday.
Oh yeah, change from present. Yes. So that is true. One request that most of the staff made was to come back from the Christmas holidays and have that as a staff work day on that Monday, so that they can kind of pull everything together after being off for quite a little bit of time. And that also kind of helps the kids if you're coming back from something. I noticed the first one thing, Christmas and the first are on, what is it, Saturday next year, this year. So obviously New Year's is on a Saturday, so that also gives the parents and the kids at least a day to get back if they have gone anywhere. So they would go that Tuesday through Friday. So that is the difference in what we're doing presently.
I did have a question too for you and for the principals. I guess option C, that we come back after Memorial Day. Is there any concern? Do you have any concerns that that's the kids more likely to be checked out after the seniors have graduated? We've had a major holiday. Are those kind of going to be what? We never want to admit we had wasted days, but
they're pretty much checked out the last week of school. But
yeah, so I don't know if that matters.
But that
is that a higher risk of? I don't know. A couple days before Christmas, yeah. I'm just curious you guys' take on that, if you have.
I think parents that are going to check out, I think some kids and parents, like at Christmas, if we try to come back those 2 days, some of those parents are just not going to send those kids those 2 days. But if we do it at the end of the year and come back those 2 days, those parents are probably not gonna take their kids those 2 days, so it really doesn't. I don't think you'll lose some either way. Yeah. The kids are gonna be checked out either way for 2 days.
So because I always have to bring it up, is there ever a discussion about 5 days a week again?
That comes up, I mean, it has come up before, it came up this year. It's not all that popular as far as majority, but there are some, and usually it comes from elementary parents. Because obviously they have daycare issues that the secondary parents probably don't have. And so that came up, we discussed through it, it was not popular, generally speaking.
Anybody on the board have feelings, strong feelings one way or the other about B versus, I mean, like you said, versus with tie, so.
Sure. Adopt calendar C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt calendar C. Any discussion? I'm not a very big fan of calendar C. Just because I'd rather have talking to my friends and their kids, they'd rather be out Memorial Day, be done, not have to come back that 3 days. And as it was a virtual tie, that's my opinion.
I would go the same.
I would agree as well.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay. So any further discussion on that? Guess we'll have a vote here. So all in favor, it's been moved and seconded that we approve calendar C by a show of hands. All in favor of that, say aye. Raise your hand. Calendar C. Opposed?
It's like I'm going down with you, Joey.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. The floor is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt calendar B.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt calendar B. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of calendar B, raise your hand. Motion carries. Opposed, I should say opposed, so you can get it on the record. Okay, there you go.
Okay, I will get that. Thank you.
Interesting. How close it came out. All right, new business, item B.
This is actually pretty good news. We, we didn't really know how at all. We went through the whole reclamation, Hannah reclamation, mine reclamation project that they've been working on up there. Last year, the way it affected us specifically was it was all around the Hannah Elementary School. And I was very impressed on how they managed that time-wise and got that done in the amount. I mean, there's very few projects that they give you a calendar of when things are going to start and when things are going to get done on a project that big that they finish on the deadline. And they do that very well, the folks that are involved in that. So they had already told us that the second summer of that project, it would affect us as they need to do that in the Hannah football field, in the track area. So what that means is they're going to be boring a bunch of holes down there and pumping in a bunch of grout then underneath that whole area. So we didn't know exactly what they would consider was reclamation and putting back as it was and how we could somehow push for some improvements on that. And Laura kind of spearheaded and contacted, so I give credit to Laura on this. Of course, it's right there by the elementary. And then Steve and Russ helped with some background information. We had several Zooms with all of the entities that are involved. And what it basically comes down to is that state or federal, or maybe federal, but anyway, whatever the agency that's in charge of doing reclamation, they contract out the management project to various contractors, but they get to decide what is putting it back as is and what is an improvement which they will not fund. So we talked through several meetings. There were 3 different options, kind of the lower end option, the middle option, and the upper end option. And they agreed to fund the middle one for an amount of, it's an estimate, but they will pay for an amount of about $750,000 of a project to put that back. And that includes crowning the field, resodding the field, putting a new base in for the track, resurfacing the track, quite a bit of improvement. While that's being done, if we wanted to completely level that field, apparently there's a drop from the east to the west. And there was also some drainage issues, which they're going to take care of in that $750,000. But there was a couple of options that we needed to do at the same time, really, to make complete sense. And that is leveling the field and making sure that it's crowned and all of that, what they call the grading of that area. And I kind of described that in my notes, but we didn't know for sure if that difference could be a major maintenance project, but we decided to submit it just to see, and the state has approved that. So we can use that money from our major maintenance fund to make up that difference and add that, I think it was 143,000 estimate to make that project really complete like it should be. So we're very fortunate. I mean, we're getting a ton of improvements at no cost to us for that football field and that track area. So that was great news. Everybody's kind of excited about that. But because I just wanted to have kind of official board approval that we're okay to use our major maintenance funds for that project. We have about 1.6 million in major maintenance. It can only be used for replacement or maintenance of current facilities. So we're in good shape there. I think it's well worth and wise to do it at the same time. Otherwise, we're doubling cost if we wait a few years and then decide to come back and do it. We've got the money in major maintenance and they've approved it. And you never know for sure, especially on athletic facilities, if they're going to call that an enhancement, which then means they won't fund very much of it. So anyway, my recommendation is to approve this and be glad that we're going to get all that improvement up there.
Real quick, when they reconstruct that track, does that take it down to a normal length track instead of a 440?
Still 4 lane.
It's still 4 lane, but it's a 400, not a 440 like it used to
It'll be a regulation 4 lane track.
So we couldn't have track meets
No.
there, but it's a huge step from what we got now.
If we added lanes, that would be totally an enhancement cost and have to come out of general fund. And also they are, and I didn't mention this, you probably noticed from some of the diagrams, they're going to center the football field. You know, that was centered when it was a 100-yard football field. When it went to 6-man, they just kind of moved it. They didn't center it. The crown up. Anyway, it's going to be a really good improvement. So we're pretty pleased with that whole process.
Chairman, I move that we approve the use of major maintenance funds for state approved add-ons to the Hannah football field restoration project.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the use of major maintenance funds for that Hannah football restoration project. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item 10, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I think I heard a second. As we move to seconded to approve the consent agenda, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Financials, 11A. Ms. Wells.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your balances in your accounts. General fund was $5,697,090.14. You see there your revenue and expenditures for the month of January. The major receipts for the school foundation payment and the county treasurer tax revenue. On section 3, you can see where your monies are invested at the various rates and maturities. We are quickly drawing to a close on our over 1% yields on our CDs. And we're lucky to get 2.27 at Wildstar. So if I try to reinvest in certificates of deposit, they're at 0.1 is what we would get. So everything's kind of being moved into YOSTAR until the rates start coming back up again. Any questions on your general fund? On page number 2, your other funds, including all of your grant funds, you can see them there at the various balances. We are spending our grant funds very wisely and quickly. Then you can see the comparison between payroll of January 2020 and January of 2021. And Donna and I were assessing the difference between the two payrolls because it seemed to be a little bit more significant. And we did pay out contracts for the not pay out, but make payments on the CBVE, which is about $30,000. So that was part of it. And then we have some January payments on activity contracts. So that was the difference between the two payrolls pretty much. You see there your scholarship accounts, or no new scholarships issued during the month of January. You see your employee benefit fund, your major maintenance fund, your capital construction fund, your depreciation reserve, lunch fund, encampment activity, county activity, and Saratoga activity. You see there the balance in Medlow lodging, which is now 0 at the end of after the end of January, because we did return the $15,000 deposit, and banks the interest as interest income. Are there any questions regarding your other funds? Did you have any questions regarding the comparisons, your revenue and summary reports for your revenue and expenditures? Knowing that our revenue is down because of the reduction in entitlement payments, and that our tax payments are supposed to make that up, we are doing pretty well as far as what we've got budgeted at this point in time. And our expenditures are right on track for where they need to be. Any questions?
So, Mr. Chairman, the Bills Committee and I met with Sally, she answered our questions. So I move that we approve the following bills. General fund, $203,259.92. Federal fund, $25,676.68. Major maintenance fund, $70,556.84. Hot lunch fund, $34,153.12. Encampment activity account, $4,729.49. HANA activity account, $816.64. Saratoga Schools activity account, $5,408.54. For a total of $344,601.23.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bills and the grand total of $344,601.23. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 12 items from the board. Number A, review board governance leadership policy tab 2.13. Any questions, concerns, issues with that? All right, item B, policies, ACA, exhibits. These are what you mentioned, Robin, about.
These are the new requirements for 509 changes.
Were there many changes in there?
Yes.
There's quite a few. And it has to do with process.
Yeah.
So where it says second reading and final adoption, do we need to just present them again and approve them in March, or do we need a motion?
Both, both.
All right. we'll need a motion in a second. Any questions on the ACA for Robin, Bill? Or
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve policy ACA, with exhibits ACA E-1 and ACA E-2 on first reading.
moved and seconded to approve policy ACA and the exhibits ACA E-1 and ACA E-2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Carries. Item C, ratify the appointment of Val Marshide to the Carbon County School District 2 Rec Board. This is, you remember, this fills the position of somebody that we ratified in the county.
Chairman, I move that we appoint Valerie Larshide to the CCS2. Ratify the appointment of Valerie Larshide to CCSD #2 Rec Board.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to ratify the appointment of Val Larshide to the Carbon County School District 2 Rec Board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Georgia, anything to report regarding?
I just want to touch on a few things. We had our meeting January 21st. They're talking about rebranding, so they're probably rename Region 5 BOCES, but they haven't said exactly what. We kind of talked about that a little bit, but I think we developed a committee, so they're going to work on that. And then pretty much almost every meeting they talk about the LEA status of Region 5 BOCES, which means, that they're not looked at by the legislature as a school. We retain, as districts, retain ownership of the students, so they don't get the funding like schools get. So that's a continuous fight that they always have in front of them. And then he just is trying to set goals as far as trying to get into the districts more, so we're more aware of kind of what is going on in the schools. And honestly, it's a crazy thing. I tell you guys this every month, but what the day schools, but what CRB does for these kids that literally have no other place for them to go is, it's amazing. And it's crazy to me that they can't get the funding that they need to help these kids. So anyway, do you guys have any questions? He does a report every month, and I forgot to send it to you, Dana, so
I'll try to send a reminder.
Okay.
Okay, board member comments. I'll go first and we'll go that way. Cassie's down to kind of work this time. Great news on the graduation rates. Nice to see improvement across all school campuses. Everything above 90%. Congratulations to Mr. Jennings and Mr. Copeland being nominated for awards. Mr. Johnson, I really appreciate all the other activities that you highlighted there. My daughter just got done with math rates, which Mr. Williams and Amy Johnson helped line up. And she was super excited and had a lot of fun. Like, just something different. She's like, oh, I wish we had that 2 years ago. So, lot going on up there. Thank you.
I'd like to kind of, call out for the nurses. It's kind of dealing through all this stuff and adhere to all the changing things that's going on. Bus drivers getting us around in these ice and snow and in the cold and stuff like that, not just taking us on trips, but in town stuff. Congratulations, Darren, on the nomination. You should have them lift unless it turns into a beauty pageant. Jen, same, congratulations. JD, that was a great report. I appreciate it. I love seeing kids build things with their hands. They don't see the fruits of their labor. I think we're missing that a lot sometimes. Robin and Noel, great reports, and also Laura and Steve, thank you for the work that you guys put in on that Hannah football field. That thing's been neat and redone for, since Mike was a kid, so appreciate it.
What Paul said, JD, Robin, and Noel, those are great reports. Noel, if you get any more technical, I'm gonna have to have a hard copy. And JD, that was a great report. I appreciate what you're doing for the kids up there and giving them the extra opportunities. I'd like to thank everybody who offered condolences to my family, myself for my mom's passing. And Jim, Sally, thank you for keeping us up to date on everything legislative wise. And also, Bill, thank you.
Echo a lot of the same things. Congratulations, Darren. We already knew your grade, so that's kind of already stated. You too, Dr. Copeland, congratulations. JD, Allie actually looked over your presentation to give it a middle school look over to see if she approved, and she actually really enjoyed it. She loves seeing all the pictures and everything on there. They actually are doing quite a great job up there. That's where I got my dining room table, my coffee table, and I had tons of metal stuff hung all over my house from those kids making stuff. Calvin is currently making salad racks, so pretty excited about the stuff. They're doing my honeydews, which I really enjoy somebody doing. So that makes it nice. The pep band has been phenomenal at the games. I love to see all the kids over there and playing their instruments, and they are pretty darn good too for how wide a variety of age group we have in there playing and stuff. So I really enjoyed watching Encampment and Surford play each other last night. I love our kids. They are such great sports, no matter who wins or who loses. They are outstanding. They are what make school worth it, is our kids, because we got some darn good kids all over the place. They show us adults how to behave ourselves all the time. And I greatly appreciate it. Thank everybody for the report, especially, when you remind me I'm supposed to be listening, it helps. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for the reports as well, and then also extend my congratulations to Mr. Jennings and Mr. Copeland for your nominations. Enjoyed the heck out of the presentations, the extracurricular stuff. That's incredible. Those programs are incredible. Low-tech things, getting, like you said, seeing these kids be able to use their hands to create things, whether it is in the shop area or artistically and in the band. I think those are great things. We're lucky to have them. There's a lot of programs out there that don't have them. So once again, I sound like a broken record that I feel very lucky to be where we are and doing the things that we're doing at this point in time. I'd really like to think, I'm new here, but it seems like there's a really proactive nature on the part of the district staff. I mean, this stuff, trying to make plans for what may come down the pike and have options in front of us. That's wonderful. Congratulate you guys. The information you provided tonight is awesome. So I really appreciate it. Thank you guys.
So just the band, I watched the game on the computer last night, but I could hear the band, so that was awesome. Again, congratulations, Darren and Jim. That's pretty awesome that we have both of you nominated, so it kind of shows what kind of district we're dealing with here. Because Sally pointed it out, I wanted to put the plug that we appreciate how efficient our schools are being run. Obviously, that's going to help in these times of looking at the budget. Best of luck to our athletes in the coming postseason. That's crazy that it's coming up that fast, but we have wrestling this week going and basketball regionals next week, so. Congratulations on the graduation rate. And then I know Dalton Peterson was nominated, and I was thinking there's 2 from Hannah for the 6-man all-star game, so congratulations to those boys.
Hard to add anything to what's already been said. Aaron, congratulations, Dr. Copeland. These are honors that are absolutely well deserved. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for the presentation. It's actually great to see all of the activities that are going on in the schools. I just want to say thanks to all the administration and the staff for all the work that they do to keep the schools open. It's a great thing. And to add to JD or Dalton, yeah, I'm not sure who the 2 guys from there were, but Noah Rimmer and the coach
Logan, right?
Logan Wright. Congratulations to them too for the honors.
I'll just add to a few things, pretty much echo everything that everyone else said. Our district is pretty class act. Larry Higgs told a set of county commissioners from the whole state that Carbon County 2 was the only district prepared for these budget cuts. And he made it pretty clear that we were actually looking into things and we're sure that we would make it through with shining colors. So that was kind of a big thing to hear. I've got friends in Colorado and Nebraska and different states that aren't going to school. So while it's frustrating and we're mad and we're pushing against each other on occasion, I appreciate everything you guys have done to keep our kids going mostly normal. I mean, it is what it is this kind of a year. JD, that was awesome. Thank you for putting together that rodeo team. And Mr. Relaford really gone gung ho with it. She's had rodeo coaches, college rodeo coaches, and done some fundraisers, and it's really cool. Because those kids aren't, that isn't a Wyoming high school sponsored event, but you do have to have grades every week. They look at grades and pay attention. And, if you're on the down list, it's the same as sports. So that's a really cool thing. And congratulations, Dr. Copeland and Mr. James. I'm still laughing about the beauty contest, but anyway, thank you guys.
Big congratulations to Mr. Jennings and Dr. Copeland, well deserved. And see you guys succeed and said we're really lucky to have you in the district. And our district to have those moments. Exciting news on the graduation rates, of course, that's I feel like why we're here. It's to see the kids succeed, and that's just really encouraging to me. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your presentation. Also enjoyed all the extracurriculars. James touched on this for a minute, and that's the math counts program that's coming to an end. And I believe that was for the Saratoga Middle School kids. Just a really great program. I'm pretty excited about it. And I just wanted to say thank you to Chris Williams and his wife Brianna and Amy Johnston for all the work that they've done on that program. It's really fun to see some kids excel in math and problem solving. Again, just congratulate the Shine Bowl players and coach and 6-man team participants. And then I've been thinking about the board evaluation topic that we discussed in our workshop, just as a board member. Just if there's any recommendations of like what I can do better as a board member, I'm open to that. I'm open to conversations with all the staff. So,
Paul said about CTE, and my wife, when she taught, she said, she taught home ec, and learning fractions and recipes was the best way to actually learn math and English. And so she thought CTE really helped you apply the math and English. I was thinking as I was looking around the people going around the board that some of us just did learn English and math so that we could do CTE later in life, so that was the whole goal, that was where we wanted to get, so it doesn't always go the other way, so. All right, item 13, executive session. Do that, this is the time
Chair, I move that we go into executive session, discuss legal issues, personnel issues, consider confidential by law, consider tendering offers concerning wages, salary, benefits, and terms of employment, to include discussion of the administrative contract for the 21-22 school years.
Great.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session to discuss legal issues and personnel issues considered confidential by law, consider tendering offers concerning wages, salary, benefits, and terms of employment, to include discussion of administrative contracts for the 2021-2022 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay. We'll take action after the executive session. Okay. We need a motion, I guess, to sign the executive session.
John, I move we come out of executive session.
Seconded to come out of executive session, approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? See you guys' faces waiting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to offer the following administrative contracts for 2021-2022 school year. Sally Wells, Central Office Business Manager. Andy Ward, Central Office Network Manager. Noel Manning, Central Office Curriculum Director. Robin Brown, Central Office Special Ed Director. Drew Leach, Central Office Psychologist. Darren Jennings, SES Principal. Michael Erickson, Encampment Principal. Stephen Priest, HEM Principal. Laura Neiswinder, HES EMB Principal, and JD Johnson, SMHS Principal.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the aforementioned administrative positions for the next school year. All in favor? Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Okay, the next meeting will be here at the community center on Monday, March 15th at 5 p.m.